They believe today, and I'm disappointed in the media, that it hasn't brought this information, this new information to the people of this country more than it has. They believe that marijuana could well turn out to be the most dangerous drug that is in use in our country today.
So in dealing with marijuana, one of the most important things to think about is the history of marijuana and the roles it's played in America's past. Originally, marijuana was a crop just like any other. In fact, it was one of America's most successful cash crops, as it could produce a whole variety of things from its fiber hemp, which is by and large the most durable, naturally soft fiber known to man. Up until the early 1900s, most fuels, papers, medicines, and fibers were harvested from industrial hemp. Hemp was boasted as being America's new, quote, billion-dollar crop, able to produce over 25,000 products, according to Popular Mechanics magazine. Hemp was on the rise in America, like any other crop, until around the early part of the 20th century, when yellow journalism had risen. Films like Reefer Madness and the intense racism surrounding marijuana altered many Americans' opinions on cannabis. Mexicans and blacks were often depicted smoking cannabis and becoming violent or overly sexual, and then doing all sorts of unruly things. This influenced Americans to think that marijuana was something more than just a source of production, that it was a drug, as well as another outlet for racism. Congress essentially made marijuana illegal through a stamp tax law, through which they required hemp growers to buy stamps and then refused to distribute them. This, in effect, was the first law banning cannabis cultivation and production in America. Cannabis and hemp remained illegal up until World War II, when America again required the cultivation and use of hemp's robust and sturdy fibers. The government even produced a video called Hemp for Victory, only to turn back on their decision after their realization of its true effects. After the war, Congress decided marijuana was not a violence-inspiring drug, but rather a pacifying substance that could be used potentially by the communists to destroy America's will to fight. This led them to once again make cannabis illegal, although this time for the opposite reason. But even after years of social reforms and progress, the federal government still keeps cannabis illegal today. Even after the DEA's own judge, Francis Young, admitted, quote, "Marijuana in its natural form is one of the safest therapeutically active substances known to man." And every accurate report, even since the 70s, has said that marijuana is essentially harmless. Many reports, in fact, conclude benefits from the use and cultivation of cannabis. The obvious question is, what happens to our billion-dollar crop? Well, the simple answer is twofold. One, many politicians base campaigns on the idea of getting tougher on drugs, and two, the influence of powerhouse business lobbyists such as private prisons, pharmaceutical, manufacturing, and oil companies. As a result, the government, especially during Nixon and Reagan's presidencies, has denied supportive research under the definition of a Schedule I drug, denied cannabis as having medicinal properties, and, for the most part, continued to vilify marijuana. It is up to every American to educate themselves and to overcome the common discourse surrounding cannabis.